It's called Cannon Fodder, or The Secret Lives of Henchmen. And just a little brief background. The premise of it is it's basically a James Bond novel, but from the point of view of the villain's henchmen. Like all the little underlings that just get killed off left and right after 20 pathetic seconds of screen time. Well, those guys have a story too. You know, and I decided I wanted to tell that story. So I'll be reading a few brief excerpts from Cannon Fodder. Oh, yeah, my name's Kyle. I grew up here in the south suburbs. I've kind of been all over the place since then. You know, Iowa, the city, back here now. Probably going off to Korea here in a few months to teach English as a second language. In the good Korea. I want to stress that, the good Korea. So that's a bit about me. Elkhart Global Dynamics strives to achieve the boundless possibilities. Our innovations push the world forward, and it is our goal to provide a guiding hand to all of the world's people. We are dedicated in our mission to lead the way towards a better tomorrow. Elkhart Global Dynamics is a company with its eyes to the bright future and its hands always working to build it. Elkhart Global Dynamics mission statement. Ian Fleming was right. The scent and smoke and sweat of a casino are nauseating at 3 in the morning, and trying to pick out the tuxedo-clad secret agent from England among the tuxedo-clad accountants from the north side of Chicago strains the eyes, especially after 8 hours. Number 21 could barely even blink without a terrible scratching sensation on his dried eyes. He forced a yawn to try and drum up some moisture, but to no avail. He looked around to see if any of the other henchmen were about, trying to gauge their levels of comfort and weigh them against his own. Where was the agent? They had intelligence that MI6 agent Liam Adams was at this casino. If he was, 21 sure as hell hadn't seen him. He felt as if some unseen force was squeezing on his heart like a rubber stress ball. This Liam Adams had been a thorn in Mr. Elkhart's side for years. Adams' motives for digging into Elkhart Global Dynamics' goals were a non-issue for 21. As far as he was concerned, all that had mattered was that Adams had put his job in jeopardy. Number 21 had just been promoted and wanted to justify his being moved up from a mere security guard to the goon squad. He'd certainly put in the time. He always showed up early and stood by the punch clock, waiting to punch in. Painted on the wall above the clock was the motivational slogan, "Excellence will be tolerated." The punch clock was programmed to keep people from punching in too early, but when his supervisor passed, he seemed happy to see 21 had been there early again. His mind was tired of scanning, and so it wandered back 2 weeks ago to when he had gotten the promotion. He'd been guarding the north perimeter, and he'd just been lucky. He stopped to pee and he saw it. A manhole cover popped open in the middle of one of the empty water retention areas. A man in what looked a lot like a scuba suit popped out. Had number 21 kept on going his usual rotation and not stopped briefly for a piss, he would have never seen him. And as it would happen, the man had been spending a good deal of time monitoring the guard movements and had tried to time this out perfectly. He just didn't factor in the very important variable of the 2 cans of soda that number 21 had drank prior to his shift. As 21 had been instructed, he asked no questions, did not pause. He did not look at the man or even think about it. He just fired. His first shot pierced the neck. The man fell coughing. 21 used the scope to put 3 more shots in the man's head, and that was that. He'd received a large pay bump as a result. He also made love to his wife Mary that night, who was so happy with him she was particularly wild. They'd left their 2 children with the neighbors and made all the noise they damn well pleased. 21 got slightly flushed from the memory, but he tried quickly to take his mind off it so as not to embarrass himself. It was then that he spotted Liam Adams sitting at the high-stakes poker table. The game had grown intense and a crowd had formed to watch. 21 blended into the observing crowd and made eye contact with the other henchmen. From his vantage point, he could see Adams was doing well. The only other remaining player was a surly-looking Middle Eastern man. Number 21 recognized the man from the briefing as Reyes, a major shareholder in an oil company with whom Elkhart Global Dynamics did business. Seeing Adams at a poker table with Rays meant he was definitely onto something. Number 21 wasn't close enough to hear what was being said, but the body language suggested the usual contest of wills such scenes often represent. Suddenly Rays stood up, tried to hide his belligerence in an attempt to save his remaining pride. Adams smiled at something Rays said. As Rays exited, Adams stood up, refastened his cufflinks, and tipped the cashier. It was time to make their move, grab Adams and find out what he knew. Adams brushed right past 21. "Beg your pardon," Adams said with a cold stare, looking 21 in the eye. "Quite all right," was all 21 could manage. As Adams continued on, 21 followed in pursuit. The other henchmen, keen to what was happening, began to move as well. Number 21 was the first into the main lobby, but Adams was nowhere to be found. The sound of a closing door caught 21's attention. He turned and saw the source, an access door to the stairwell. 21's two comrades caught up with him and he signaled to the door. The others drew their concealed weapons as 21 opened the stairwell. They moved inside and waited for the door to close. Number 21 drew his gun, signaled for one to wait by the door and the other to follow. Mary would be so proud of the initiative he was showing. He hoped his bosses would be as well. From the bottom of the stairs he heard a sneeze, followed shortly by another sneeze. Before he could turn his head, he felt a silencer pressed into his lower back. He didn't hear anything. 3 jobs became available. A member of the Brotherhood Against... This is from a later chapter, but... A member of the Brotherhood Against Tyranny stood unconscious with his arms tied above his head to a stake in the middle of a large arena-like space. "Hit him," said Damien Elkhart. 12 stepped forward with a bucket of water and splashed the prisoner. The prisoner coughed and sputtered. "Rise and shine," said Damien Elkhart. "It's you," said the prisoner. "Of course," said Elkhart. "I wouldn't be anyone else." The prisoner spit on him. "Screw you, Elkhart. Well, despite your less than sober attitude, I've decided to bestow upon you a great honor. You will be testing our new weapon." 12 left the arena and stood in the wings to guard the entrance to the control room. "Hello, 12, said number 23 from the control panel. "Hey, how's it going?" "Oh, same old." "I feel ya," number 12 concurred. "Would you listen to this person?" 23 pointed out the window to the middle of the arena. The man was yelling at Elkhart. "You think you know what's best for everyone?" he yelled. "You arrogant bastard. You can't control people. You and your convoluted truth will rot in hell." "Like he hasn't heard that one before," said 23, chuckling. "It's almost as if life is on reruns," said 12. "I'm really feeling the monotony these days." "Well, you'll get that with any job," number 23 reminded him. "You're probably right," number 12 said. Damien Elkhart walked away from the stake and made a circle with his hand above his head. "There's the signal," said 23. He flipped a few switches and pulled back a lever. There was a whirring sound like pistons charging up. The 2 men put on earmuffs and protective eyewear. "Hit it," said 12. 23 pushed a lit-up red button. The man screamed and there was a quick flash and a modest pop. Where the man once stood was a smoking stain on the ground. "It worked," said 23. "Groovy." "Lunch?" said 12. "Lunch," said 23. Thank you very much. I'm Kyle Decker. I have like 6 copies of this book. If anyone wants to purchase them directly from me, they're $10. Thank you very much.